Now, whether you're big on making plans or you'd rather just go out and execute directly, there's still one big hurdle that you need to overcome. So that's what we're talking about in this episode. Whether planning or executing directly, which one serves you better when it comes to pursuing your goals? And what is that one big hurdle you still have to overcome, irrespective of whether you plan or execute on things directly? So you're with me? Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Up It and the Actionables podcast. If you're a returning viewer or a listener, thank you so much for tuning back in. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Peyton, and this channel brings you mindset coaching tips that can help you move toward your life goals. So if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you will get notified every time we bring you content, which is every week. And with that, let's get into this episode. As though it wasn't bad enough that pursuing goals is difficult, add to this, there is this dilemma that whether you should plan or execute directly. Which one is better? And while I'm a lover of planning, for the purposes of this episode, I'm going to try to stay unbiased. Well, I'm going to try. However, if you're somebody who doesn't care too much for planning and would rather roll up their sleeves and execute directly, then that's okay as well. The biggest pro when it comes to executing directly is that you tend to get things done much faster, more enthusiastically, and more like a wing it style. While the biggest pro of planning is that you have a list of things prepared already and you have a more systematic and organized approach. Now that we've mentioned the pros of both planning as well as directly executing, it's only natural that we talk about the cons. The biggest con to executing directly is that you may lose steam easily because the wing it style can be a lot more confusing and overwhelming. While on the other hand, the biggest con of planning is that you may get lost in minute details which can end up costing you both time and money. If you're wondering now which one is better, whether it is planning or executing directly, before we get into that, I'd like to hear from you. So leave me a comment below and tell me what is your approach to your goals. Are you more like a planner like myself, or are you more like a wing it, let's directly execute kind of a person? I'd love to know your thoughts. Depending on what you are trying to achieve and on what part of the journey you are at, both these styles can help you extremely. If you're currently at the beginning and you are thinking about starting to pursue a goal, then you may benefit a great deal by simply having an overview plan of what you want to achieve and why, and then get into the execution phase as quickly as possible, so you can start building up some momentum. However, if you've already been pursuing your goal for a while, then you may need to slow down a bit and relook at your plan and consider what is working and what could be better. Well, the idea is to use both these styles. So if you can have a more wing it like approach right at the beginning of pursuing a goal, then it can help you build some momentum. And to stay consistent, you can look at having a more detailed planning approach. If you choose to have a mixture of both these approaches, then I'm confident that both planning as well as executing directly can benefit you in pursuing your goals. And with that, let's get into the biggest hurdle that I mentioned that you need to overcome irrespective of your planning or executing style. For a very long time, I thought that the goals that I wanted to accomplish for myself looked something like this: owning a fancy home, owning lots of material stuff, having a perfect, loving, caring relationship, and then some more. And while there is absolutely nothing wrong with owning fancy material stuff, and it dawned on me that what I was trying to accomplish were not really my goals, but I had subconsciously bought into this hype of the culture that we live in. So the biggest hurdle when it comes to pursuing your goals, before you even consider your approach, you will still need to relook whether the goals that you're trying to achieve are really yours. Or are they goals that are impressed upon you by either your parents, your friends, colleagues, or social media even? In this journey of pursuing your goals, the most difficult thing that you will have to do is to figure out whether what you're trying to pursue is really meaningful to you and are they really your goals. Figuring that out is the most difficult part in this journey toward your goals. And even though this may be a difficult thing to do, it is still possible. It involves a two-step process. Step number 1 is where you schedule some time with yourself, where you're going to look at the goals that you're either currently pursuing or thinking about pursuing. Step number 2 is you're going to put your goal through what I call as something as an acid test question. Ask yourself whether in the next 5 years you see yourself either regretting that you did not pursue this goal, or do you see yourself extremely overjoyed that you did? You will know the answer quite intuitively. Hey, if your goal doesn't pass the acid test, then you've got to be honest with yourself. Perhaps it is not something that really lights your heart up, and maybe it is a goal that you have got from someone else. So you may want to reassess what you're either currently pursuing or even thinking about pursuing. If you want further coaching tips, don't forget to hit subscribe to our free newsletter, which is called One Thing to Help You. It is a free personalized email that I send out every week with lots of coaching tips and a whole lot of love. Till next week, remember, what you want matters, and it's really up to you to make it happen. I will see you in the next one.